positive psychology been a big part of your life career? Because we do talk about that in class a lot. No. It's a relatively new idea, and I jumped on it in part because it confirms with nice, objective, statistical analysis things that I've known for a long time, and I think it's a very accessible set of ideas that are useful for healthy people who want to get stronger, which is mostly what we do. So it's been very convenient, but it frankly didn't change anything for me.
And it's only been around
10 years, 18 years.
Yeah, not that long.
Not even 15.
So I like the idea. It seems astonishing to me that nobody stopped and said, "Hey, wait a minute, why don't we study happy people instead of sick people, and see if we can figure out like what
to understand health."
Yeah, that sounds like an obvious thing, but I like the work, and I think it's it has helped me. It has helped me frame something. When you can name something,
yes,
then you can own it in a different way than if you just sort of know you're doing it.
It's, trust me.
So
I think it's kind of conveniently packaged.
Yeah, they put a lot of good words around something that seemed like it made sense to me the first time I read it.
Scientifically validated common sense. Yeah. Let's see.
How about? Oh, this is a good one because
Go ahead.
I hear this all the time with seniors. What's the toughest or most frustrating aspect of transitioning from
to work from college?
To work, from college to work.
Student life to work life.
40
hours a week, I think, is a big one.
There's two parts to it. Well, actually, the 40 hours a week turns out to be working a lot less than you did in school.
Right, but it's all contiguous.
It's all contiguous, but when you're done, you're done.
Yes.
And if you want to, you can go do something else.
Right.
The thing I found shocking, absolutely shocking, and I don't know why this didn't occur to me when I first took my first job. It got to be around June, middle of June, and I kept thinking,
we're gonna stop now.
When do we get to go home? When do we get to?
When do we get the 3 months off?
Yeah, when's summer break? And there isn't one.
There's one. Yeah.
So the thing that I found frustrating wasn't working in. I love working in organizations that would like people to teach me stuff and lots to learn.
Doing things, it's busy.
And I used to have to go make stuff myself, and then I had this whole model shop that would I'd sketch something and they'd make it for me. It was fantastic. Having the resources that an organization gives you, I found liberating. I didn't find it stifling at all, and I didn't work in organizations that were very bureaucratic because I was always in design, and maybe the rest of the organization was dumb, but the designers were always fun, and we had a good time.
But even in big companies, people are trying to actually get something done.
Yeah,
there's this movement, and I found movement very, very motivating. But they do work like all the time.
You just don't get enough time off.
Yeah, 2 weeks off a year, 52 weeks. Okay, that's like and in some places actually, if you take the vacation, that's a bad thing.
Yeah, they look at you funny.
Yeah. I knew guys who never took vacation because they were scared they'd get fired while they were gone. I never had that fear, but it's a lot of time. It takes a while.
How do you keep your mind open to new things?
Well, first of all, thank you for apparently thinking that we're open-minded. I never wasn't.
Well, my trick is I hang out with them.
Yeah, I mean, what's the chicken and the egg? I mean,
I was back. Conlon likes to say that the eggs teach the chickens.
Right.
I learn more from students, I'm sure, than they learn from me, and they're constantly challenging new ideas, and just staying inside this community of thinkers, is constantly pushing my buttons and opening up new ideas. So it's just a ball to be on campus.
I think. You can almost say an unfair way to divide the world in two is there are people who like knowing and people who like learning. Do you like to know stuff, and then you don't want things to move around because you get to be an expert, or do you want to learn stuff because it's so cool to have an idea you haven't had before? And if you nurture that last piece, the learning piece, and learn to like learning, then you will stay open by definition. If you get lazy. Or you don't want to go through the work of learning, and you haven't learned how to enjoy the insight, haven't learned how to enjoy epiphany, haven't had the joy of throwing an idea away. We talk about learning and unlearning. Unlearning is terrific. I love getting rid of stuff that I don't think anymore. So build that habit. I think
that's a good dividing line. Do you like knowing things, in which case you hope the world is static, so you can know enough of it to be an expert.
And you can predict
things.
Like
learning. Yeah, you can predict things. Things will be just like they were before because I know. Yeah, that's boring.
Yeah, some of the choosers say, I don't like to be upset by change. I kind of go, I personally love to have a surprise. So it's how you spin it half the time. Let's see.
I like this one. Are there always things calling to you, like in the pay attention exercise?
Yeah, where we
I don't
told
know
you
if
that a tree or a squirrel or a
Squirrel's
building
calling.
was saying,
I don't-
hey, Bill, talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, well,
I mean, I don't know if they mean that as tongue in cheek.
tongue in cheek.
Bill, when you wander around, is it like a dead show? Do you just see? Does everything talk to you? What do you think? Do they
Well,
talk to you?
what I yes,
When you
what,
pay attention.
yes, when I am paying attention.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you can really get that beginner's mind thing, if you can, you know, I mean, you know, the Buddha talked about bliss. I mean, if you could just recognize that you are in bliss all the time, despite the fact that this heartbreakingly sad what's going on in the world, those two truths are paradoxically concurrent. I do find people, situations, the day, the cup of coffee in my hand, the idea going across my desk can be somewhere between at least interesting, if not scintillating, if I would but pay attention and be willing, almost as an act of faith, to say, okay, what's wonderful here?
Mm-hmm.
And if I permit it, it will be there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a game. It's a little bit of believing is seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm seldom disappointed when I really give that some space.
You know, yeah, I think my experience is the universe is sending me stuff all the time.
All the time.
You know, and if I don't pay attention, it comes back bigger until eventually I get it.
Yeah.
So I find you know, it is about paying attention and noticing that there are patterns in the world, and I think the patterns can be influenced by your intentions, by your actions.
Yes.
You can visualize.
Yeah.
Part of this exercise of creating prototypes and seasons of the world is just visualizing the things that might be, that could happen to you. And if you really hold those to be true and clearly as part of a vision that you have for yourself, the world sort of gets out of the way for you.
Yeah, yeah. It's I wouldn't quite go so far as the recent book, The Secret. You know, like
No,
some
no.
little trick you can play on the universe, and suddenly you get to win all the cookies. But
No.
but I think there's some kind of an elegant synergy going on out there, and your contribution matters.
Yeah. And
It's
so
subtle.
paying attention matters. And I do think, actually, I think one of the reasons we're so big on consciousness in these decision-making processes is if your vision of the future is sort of cloudy, murky, and you're not sure what it is, that's what you get.
Right.
You find yourself 10 years from now, cloudy,
Right.
murky, and not sure how you got here.
Right.
Whereas if your vision is, I think I want to spend the rest of my life teaching,
I want to go over that. Yeah.
then you might find that that's what
Yeah.
you get to do.
Yeah. And interesting, I believe that particularity leads to particularity rather than ambiguity leads to particularity. That's been my experience. There's a quote that I can't remember from the Hagakure, which is actually the Samurai Bible, that would reinforce that if I could be clever enough to quote it for you. But it doesn't make any sense to me that fuzz leads to, you know, things do distill down, you got to work your way through. But surprisingly, you're more likely to have the idea to become, you know, a guitarist while you're on your way to becoming a chemist than, well, I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, if something, you know, an atypical new idea will spring more likely, I think, out of executing some realness than by just sort of waiting. And passivity, I've not seen passivity be very generative. That's not the same as rest, by the way. The idea of Sabbath between, the idea of restorative rest, but the idea of just sort of coasting or not engaging. Engagement and initiation seems to be generative in my life.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's a good question to end on.
Okay, so go generate. Take initiative. Do the right thing. If you got another question, call us. Bye.
Design your life.
Design your life. Great.